songs, you know, and he puts them to guitar chords, and so obviously he was really hands-on with all the music. He was fabulous with the sounds and all the, you know, just a great guy, great influence. Of course, he's part of Ted's band.
What?
Hello, Ted Rundgren, and he's obviously he plays with Todd all the time, so he's there. You know, they're like a good little unit with Prairie, and so I mean, that was half the battle really. They sounded good without everybody else even doing anything. So you know, it made it easy for all the singers, I think.
Mhm. Mhm.
Yeah.
Had you ever met Bo Bice before that tour?
No.
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 What'd you think of the young boy in the group?
I thought he was a good guy, a good laugh, you know, good old Southern boy.
Yes.
And yeah, we're going great actually.
Oh, good. Well, that's good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good
And
singer,
the other guys, Lou and Christopher.
Well, Lou was unbelievable. I mean, he was one of the nicest people I've ever met. As far as like keeping himself to himself, never complained, just got on with it, real pro.
Yeah.
Nice, sweet guy, you know, very family man.
Is he?
Yeah.
Okay.
And you know, you could tell he'd been through a lot, through Foreigner and all the rest of it, and he had a bit of an illness. I know that. And, he's been through a lot, and he's really, really come out the other side great. I love the guy. He's a fantastic singer.
Good, good.
You know.
Yeah, so, of course, he's like in our hardwiring if you grew up during the 70s.
Yeah, for sure.
You can't help but know all those Foreigner songs.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, guess what? We've got another caller, so I'm going to break this person, and hopefully we'll be able to connect here. I've got someone calling from 617. Are you there?
I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Yes.
Hi, this is Dan Sticklunas calling from Boston.
Hi, Dan.
Hi, Dan.
How you doing?
All right. Boston, huh?
Yes. Danny, nice to get to talk to you. I haven't really met you formally, but I did speak to you briefly. About 15 years ago, my band was opening for Richie Havens in Cambridge, and you came in, and Richie got so excited to see you. I don't know if you remember that.
Yeah, of course I remember it.
Yeah.
Were you in his backing band?
Yeah. No, the band opening for him.
Oh, yeah, the band opening for him. Okay.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah.
I love Richie. He's great.
Yeah. That was fun.
I actually worked with him. Yeah.
So one question I had, I kind of just stumbled upon it. I pulled out a couple of your old albums here. I was a Wings fan years ago, and I have your first two solo records, actually. Okay. All Laine, the first one, and then Holidays that you did with Paul, like a tribute to Buddy Holly.
Sure.
So I'm looking this up online, and I see on All Music Guide it says that, amazingly, that apparently you didn't even know the record was out, your first record, that Warner Brothers put it out without your knowledge.
What, the All Laine thing?
Yeah. I mean, is that true?
Well, I mean, the thing was, I was kind of involved in the whole Wings thing, and I'd made that album quite a long time before that.
Uh-huh.
It's been sitting on the shelf. I think it was Wizard Records, but you know, it's a bit of a complicated story. It's just Tony Secondo used to manage the Moody Blues, was running this company Wizard, but I think with Roy Wood.
Oh.
That album was supposed to come out on Wizard. I'm not sure in the end. I think it came out on Wizard, didn't it?
Actually, yeah, on All Music Guide it says Wizard, but Warner Brothers put it out. He must have sold it to Warner Brothers.
Right, so maybe Warner Brothers just picked their time when they put it out.
Right, because Wings was really big then, so they wanted to capitalize on that.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
But you didn't know about it?
Well, I kind of knew about it when it came out, but I wasn't in the background, you know, actively involved in putting it out because I'd already kind of done the album and left it up to them to deal with, you know, and I was too busy doing the Wings thing to. You know, if I'd not been in Wings, I would have been out promoting that album, obviously.
Right.
You know.
Right. I mean, there certainly has been a lot of people talk about, you know, the record business these days and how things get promoted and what works, what doesn't work. But it's you know, these kind of issues have been going on for years, and
oh yeah, it's all part of the big picture. You know, if you got an album, you've got to go out and tour it. It doesn't matter who you are. You've got to do all the things that it requires, you know, to put that album up there. There's a lot of competition, a lot of good music out there, and a lot of great talent, you know.
Yeah.
So you can't take anything for granted. You've got to get out there and work it, you know.
Yeah.
So
They had some good songs on it, though. I remember I always liked the song Destiny Unknown and then Baby Caroline. I always liked those songs.
Oh, cheers. Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, that's always great to hear, you know, because, again, once in a while I'll listen to a couple of songs or somebody will, you know, because I don't really play my old music that much, like most people don't. I don't.
Yeah. Yeah, you move on.
And then when you hear it years later and somebody says they like something, you know, it's great. I really, you know, and then I hear it as a different person, if you see what I mean.
Right.
And it's, you know, it can be much more, I don't know, not self-critical or whatever, you know, like you are when you're doing things, you get too close to it, you know, all that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But then it's coming from people like you and saying nice things about it that makes you, you know, feel really like you've done something good, you know. So
well, I'm glad to hear you say that because I think it's true. Hey, I missed the beginning of the show. Maybe somebody already asked you, Mel. Excuse me if you already went over this, but are you doing any touring solo, or are you looking to do any of that? I know you're doing the things. It was the Sgt. Pepper thing.
Yeah.
But
well, in Vegas, I'm working on a musical with the university here, but and maybe well, definitely working on a residency here, but. In the meantime, I have excuse me. I have got a few gigs that are lined up with in New York. A few things, you know. But I'm actually going to Portland next week for 2 days. Things like that. But there's nothing. You know, I want to free my time up a little bit to get on with what I'm doing here.
Right.
But you know, if something starts happening with this. Then next year I probably will put a band together, and when I get back from England, where I've got a tour over there in January, February, I'll really kind of start touring over here, you know.
Great news.
Yeah.
Oh, cool. I'll look forward to that.
Okay.
All right, Denny. Wish you the best. Thanks for being on the show.
Thanks a lot, man. And, you know, I used to live in Boston on and off.
Oh, did you really?
Yeah, because both my kids, their mother was from Boston. So I spend a lot of time in that part of the world. So anyway, just to let you know, I love it.
Oh, great. We'll hope to see you around here again.
Okay, man.
All right, take care now.
Cheers.
All right, bye-bye.
Well, thank you, Dan, for calling in.
Sorry, I've got a bit of frog in my throat here.
That's okay. I get that, too.
Talking too much.
Yeah. Okay. I just got to ask a little bit. Do you have any funny stories or anecdotes about hanging out with Todd you said during the Walk Down Abbey Road and the Sgt. Pepper tour and whatever you've done with him?
Well, only that he's a funny guy. I mean, I can't put my finger on anything particularly. I mean, I suppose the first thing was at the rehearsal when he turned up with all these funny hats and silly clothes and flowers on his head. That kind of broke the ice. That was the first. You know, I was pleasantly surprised by that, actually, because he turned the show into a real show instead of just, you know, going through the motions of singing the songs. I mean, he made it a show. He made it a theatrical piece, you know. So, you know, things like silly little things. But I can't find anything particular that stands out other than that.
Well, was each performer in charge of getting their own costumes, or did he come in with the?
No, he came in with the whole deal. I think he sort of laid it on everybody, and we all went with it. You know, I mean, I wasn't expecting it to be that so much, but yeah, it was cool.
Yeah, there were some comical moments. The benefit of Mr. Kate, I know, and it was a very sweet moment when Christopher Cross came out in his bathrobe and coffee mug or whatever it was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, like I say, you know, I think these were kind of thought up because of the not last minute thing, but because of the theme of the album. You know, it lends itself to theatre, I suppose, like the Beatles were. very into the very first promotion videos, and all that kind of thing, and that sort of cartoon, all that, the visuals that were going on, and they were into all that stuff. So I mean, the films that they did were very offbeat, far out stuff. So I think they just took it to the next level with that album, but they never toured it. So but it was a very theatrical just by looking at the cover and the way they dressed and the stories and the fact that it was based on a sort of traveling band, that kind of thing. So very, very theatrical, and it lends itself to a lot of visuals, and I think in the future that may well be a musical. I've got a feeling about that because it worked when we did it. It worked, so in a bigger scale it'll probably do great business.
Well,
it'd be a good
certainly,
thing, I think.
You could put a real story to it. They made a musical out of Tommy.
That's right. That's
Broadway
right.
or whatever.
And that's the way things are going because. That leads me into another thing I wanted to talk about, actually. I have got a musical, and it's an environmental music. I've had it around for a while. It's all to do with saving the planet and all the rest of it. It's a sci-fi meets the Arctic sort of storyline. And, I've always been interested in theatre. I started in theatre as a kid. And, these days with Mamma Mia and Love and all these shows and Tommy, like you say, it's going, and all the Andrew Lloyd Webber stuff, it's going back into theatre and music a lot more, and I like that. I really do like that. I love stories, go out and like going to the theatre and seeing all different sets and lights and different, storyline there, So that's really where I'm at the moment.
That's exciting. So you're actually writing dialogue and all that for this musical?
Well, the thing is, I wrote the initial thing with a friend of mine, and then I finalized it, and then I did it with some kids in a very sort of upper class school in Northern England, and that was quite a success. And I do that part of it. Then I leave it up to whoever wants to do. But in this particular case, I'm just going to be directing and kind of helping people, to go through it all. I'm not going to be performing in it, but it's just something I like to do. I like to be in the background because it's it's my music and stuff and lyrics and whatever. So I want to be hands-on. But like I say, you get from the performance of the people you bring in, the extras and the other lighting people, the sound, the other costume people, sets. You get so much back from them that it turns it into another thing, you see. So you only have to do a certain amount, right?
Right. And then it's
that's
on a life
of its own. Yeah, it becomes a life. Yeah, it becomes its own person, and then it's great. It's like unpredictable, but you have to have the initial thing there that works,
Right.
Then you go from there. So it's fun. I'm enjoying that.
Does it have a title to the musical?
It's called Arctic Song.
Arctic Song.
Yeah.
I'm writing that down.
Okay.
I was a theater major in college, so.
Oh, were you? Oh, great.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, I love all that stuff.
Yeah, so get it together because I'll buy a ticket. I'll go.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
I might get you in for nothing after this.
Sweet. I like that. Okay, and you mentioned at the very, very start of the show that you are writing a book.
Yes.
Where do you start when you're writing a book?
Well, I've had a few attempts at this in the past, and it turns out that people I've been involved with, to ask you to get a ghostwriter, or somebody comes to me and says, look, I'll write it, you tell me the stories, and I'll write them. He didn't come from me initially. So, and then on that first experience, I had a bad experience. I won't go into any names. And the second time it happened, I had a bad experience because basically all they want to talk about is one particular era, and we all know what that is. And I've got much more to talk about than just that time of my life, so I want it to be more across the board, and I want to write it with my own soul and heart and soul, in my words. Now, I might not be the best, author in the world, but at least from writing songs, I have a way of getting some stories across, without them getting too boring, hopefully, and just join them all together. So I started doing it, and it's going quite well. I'm getting a lot of things come back. People talk to you, remind you of things, seeing pictures, old pictures and stuff. And it's a bit, it's kind of, it's a lot of work because it's very draining getting your thoughts out on paper. If anybody's to try that, you can write about your own life and see what it's like, But it's really, it's kind of a calming experience too, at the end of the day, to get things out and expressed the way that you want them expressed. Because, like I say, I'm not knocking the press, but in the past, things get taken out of context and they do spread in the wrong way as well as the right way. And, you end up spending the rest of your life trying to say, oh, it didn't happen like that, it didn't happen like this. So in the end, you don't bother, you just get on, carry on. But when you write in the book, at least you get your own say at the way things were. And you can kind of, it's a good feeling, believe me.
Yeah. Well, now when you write a book, because I got to write this book about rock stars and their laundry,
Yeah.
Okay, do you sit down like with a tape recorder, or do you type on the computer, or do you handwrite your notes, or how do you handle it?
Well, I kind of, on a computer, but, it comes again from stories I've known from long time, and I might have written as part of a song, for example, there'd be a song that I've written, and it's based on a whole story, or period of my life, or people I've met, or whatever country I'm in. So I just turned the lyric of that song into a story, basically.
Okay.
That's where it comes from. And then, of course, as part of the book, I want to be able to do that. I'm going to put a CD in there with all the songs that relate to each one of the chapters, so that there is, And what I'm saying is, I'm telling stories. We're going to talk about the songs that were written in that period, and then have the songs, a version of those songs in the CD.
Oh, okay.
With the book.
Great.
So that's the plan, anyway.
And you have so much going on. You're writing songs, you're touring, you're writing a musical, you're writing a book.
Yeah. Well, like I say, the musical's already written. The book you do in between everything else you do. And, you just do maybe an hour every day, if that, maybe 2 hours a week. I don't know, sometimes 10 hours a week. It's just the way things work. Whatever becomes a priority, then you concentrate on that more. But it's funny how you can do all these things. They're all part of the same gig, really. And it's good to it's good that rather than just to concentrate on one thing, it's good to have a few, because then you get you away from the one thing, which can be really, really tiring and draining, and like sitting on an album for 3 months in the studio, just takes everything away when you don't have any other distractions, and I like change.
It sounds like it.
Yeah. But anyway, the other thing is, of course, everything comes to the same point at the same time, if you see what I mean. You might have been working on all these things separately, and then suddenly you start getting more and more busy, and then they all start getting towards the finishing line, and then they all hit at the same time. So therefore, this isn't just happening overnight. This has happened over a period of few years, that it's got to this point. So all these things are starting to be finished now. So it's it's a great relief to have all these things, but like I said, the hard work's already been done way down the line,
Mhm.
So there you go.
Well, you need to be able to sit back and rest on your laurels a little bit. So I hope.
What's that mean? What does that mean?
You don't know what that means.
No, I have no clue what that means. Rest
You
on
like
my laurels.
I can tell.
Yeah.
I can tell you're definitely a busy guy. My goodness.
I like to get out there, have some fun.
Yeah.
That's what it's all about.
Well, you are fun. I got to hang with you for a good while at that after party out in Las Vegas. And
well, so yeah, great night. I really enjoyed that. It was fun.
Wasn't it? Wasn't it? Kathy,
Yeah.
Kathy threw a great party. Somehow I missed getting the cotton candy. I didn't get any.
Well, I saw Todd with some of it on his head.
Yeah.
Remember, he put it on his head, looked like a wig from Hairspray or something.
or like Wilma Flintstone or something.
There you go.
I don't know. Did by chance when you were hanging out with Todd, of course he's got his new album coming out here in a week. Did he give you a copy of the album? Have you heard any of his new stuff?
No, he didn't even mention it to me. Didn't even say it. But you know, it's well. I mean, we only really we shared a dressing room I think twice. And you know, Todd's that kind of guy. He's not going to lay stuff on you. He's too cool for that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yes, he is. Yeah.
So the thing is that it was kind of a surprise when all that was going on, and if I'd known, maybe I could have made my plans to change a little bit and made it for that opening thing. But you know, but anyway, no, he didn't say anything. But it sounds good. I'm glad to see you doing. You know, there was one point we went out for a meal in Fort Lauderdale.